Hello again, I'm back with another of my not very frequent vlogs, and it's time for a catch up since the last one. I thought the last one was, I think, around about the end of March, beginning of April, and it was the introduction to my new blanket pattern at that time, the Sweet Shop blanket. And of course, as usual, quite a lot has happened since then, and I thought it was time to come back and catch you up with all my news. So, first of all, I need to introduce myself, especially if you are new to my channel, and a very warm welcome if you are. Welcome back if you're not. My name is Marion, and I am the hands and head behind the crochet name Wool Thread Paint. I'm a crochet designer, and I design patterns for blankets. Colour is my main theme of all my blankets. The patterns are quite simple to follow, but the colours are quite intricate and make them very interesting to do, I hope. I'm also an embroiderer and textile artist, and embroidery goes back, way back, more than 50 years. And it's been my passion all my life, really. Crochet is only something that I've been doing for about 8 years. When I came into it by mistake, by accident, but it has really taken over my life, which was very handy because it coincided with me retiring from our family business, and it filled the gap. Started a new business right away. Anyway, today, as I say, I'm doing a little catch up, and behind me is what I've been doing since I was last here, and this is the summer season blanket. It may be familiar to quite a few of you because it's a remake of an earlier blanket. It was one called the winter season blanket that I made back in 2020. And it was a pattern that I really enjoyed making, but it was limited, kind of limited by the fact that it was done in quite Christmassy colours. It was the first of my Christmas blankets. I do one every year, and the winter season was the first one. I always wanted to go back and revisit it in a different colour scheme, and so this is what I chose to do. After the Sweet Shop blanket, which had been quite stressful in the preparation for the pattern and the videos due to events out with my control, which is all in my last vlog. I wanted to have something that was going to be calmer, easier, simpler, something that I could just pick up and put down. And I thought if I was revisiting a pattern, that would take some of the work out of it. So, as I say, it was the winter season blanket, but I decided to call it the summer season blanket. And the reason I chose that was very simply because of this yarn. And this is the Pebble Haze Prints yarn, which, if you know me, you'll know I've used before. And the last blanket, the Sweet Shop blanket, had the Pebble Haze yarn, Prints yarn in it in a different colour. And I just absolutely adore this yarn. So I had this ball, which is, first glance, it looks very subtle. It's pinky lilac through to bluey lilac. This is all that was left of the ball after I finished this blanket, and you can see that there are some pinky colours in it that aren't left in the ball, but it goes from pink through to lilac, and it comes in a big ball. This is a different colourway, but this is the size. It's a 150-gram ball, and so I took this as my starting point, and to me it looked like petals of something like a hydrangea or a lilac or something quite soft. So I decided I wanted it to be a blanket that wasn't bright summery colours, but soft, petally summery colour. Can't say it, summery colours. So this was the starting point, and then I introduced some solid lilacs, cream. I I wanted to use this new Stylecraft special colour, which is Mushy Peas, and it's a very natural green, which I hadn't used until, or had I? Hadn't used much of it until this blanket, so this was going to definitely be in it. And then I paired that up with a much darker green, the country green from the Yarnsmiths Create range, and some deeper mauves. So that was a fairly restricted palette, but kind of reflecting a softer summer look. If you made the winter season blanket and you know the pattern, you'll know that I have just gone off a little bit, as I always do. I didn't faithfully recreate it because the winter season had along here a candy cane border, which I thought wasn't really necessary for a summer blanket. It also had the option to have a large heart in the centre square, or another of those ring of hearts. I'll show you a close-up of this because it's quite difficult to see that there are colours in that. But I decided that I wanted a more obvious flower centre. And then I repeated that in these four corners. And then I actually added another little tiny flower square right out in the far corner. And this area here, I thought it was quite nice to have something very plain after all the squares in the centre. So this is what I've been doing since the last vlog. And of course, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that this coincided with my son announcing that he was going to be running a marathon, the Edinburgh Marathon, which is taking part today. And as we speak, he should be just crossing the finishing line, or have just crossed the finishing line. If I get his timing or I get some photos, I will show you that at the end. But anyway, the reason you haven't quite, if you don't know me, you won't know why I'm talking about the marathon. I decided to make all the proceeds from this pattern go to his Just Giving page, because he was being sponsored to run the marathon by the MS Society. He was running on behalf of that because we have family members and friends who have all succumbed or succumbed in some degree to this disease. And it was important to us as a family that we supported the MS Society, that's multiple sclerosis. If you're not aware of this, in Scotland, it's particularly common in Scotland, and I don't know if they've ever figured out why. There have been theories like the fact that we're quite far north and we don't get so much sunlight, so it might be lack of vitamin D, or there could be some genetic in our DNA. I don't know. I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on that. But there are a lot of people currently suffering with MS in Scotland, as well as the rest of the world, of course. And my nephew in particular was somebody who was diagnosed with MS when he was only 12, one of the youngest people to have the diagnosis. And he actually 5 years ago ran at the age, in his, what would he be 5 years ago? He'd have been 24. He ran the London Marathon on behalf of the MS Society, and I did the same thing at that time. I gave the proceeds of my blanket pattern that I had just published to his Just Giving page. So when Nick said that he was going to be running the marathon, I thought, well, all I can do is offer the proceeds of my newly published my new to be published blanket for his Just Giving page. This is how it's all tying in. So if you don't follow me on social media, you won't know that I published the pattern at the beginning of May, and in just 1 week, I had raised £1,800 for Nick's marathon cause, which was unbelievable. It had come from all over the world, from people who had bought the pattern, whether they were all going to be making the pattern, I don't know. They were maybe just buying it to support Nick. But we sold £1,800 worth, which, when you actually think that I had also discounted the pattern by 50% for that first week, my plan of campaign as far as that was concerned was that I thought if I offered the pattern at a 50% discount, which took it down to £3, it would maybe prompt people who weren't really thinking about making a blanket to buy it just so that they could support Nick. And I think that paid off. So in the first week, we made £1,800, and then we closed the fundraising with the blanket, and it reverted back to its proper price of £5.90. Now, that is still a snip, because for some reason I was rushing to get this blanket finished, but for some reason I made this the most comprehensive pattern I've ever written. This little blanket has 27 pages of instructions, and it's not that it's overly complicated, because my patterns never are. It's just that I've gone into it in as much detail as I possibly could, so that if you were a complete beginner, I would be virtually taking you by the hand. And there were, apart from the 27 pages of instructions, there are 170 photos, step-by-step photos, and 9 video tutorials. So that was pretty good value for £5.90. And then those of you who snapped it up at the £3, well, you got quite a bargain. So yes, and today is the day of the Edinburgh Marathon, and Nick set off at 10. He's, to give you some background, he's 41, nearly 42. He's a sleep-deprived dad of 2 one-year-old twin girls, and he actually was supposed to be running the marathon last year, but it coincided with the birth of the girls, the babies, and so there was no way he was going to be able to take all the time off to train and to run a marathon while his wife Rebecca was coping with her brand new arrivals. So it was deferred. He was allowed to defer the run until this year, and the girls have not long had their first birthday, and he managed to get a little bit of training in and has, as we speak, is running the marathon. More good luck to him. I'd much rather make a blanket and write a pattern with 170 photos than run 26 miles, I can assure you. So that's mainly what's been happening, and we've had this incredible 5 weeks of dry, sunny weather. The weather has broken this weekend, which is good for Nick's running. It's windier, and we were supposed to be getting a lot of rain, and we have had some, but not as much as I would like for the garden, but we have had some. But 5 solid weeks of sunshine is incredible, because everybody thinks it does nothing but rain in Scotland, and it doesn't. We do get a lot of dry weather, but maybe this is pretty much going for a record. So I'm up here in the studio today, and it's very sunny. I've got most of the blinds closed on the Velux windows just to get a little bit of better light. And it's very hot, of course, up here as well, but hey-ho. So, as I say, that's been the main project since my last vlog, and I'm going to be doing, I've got myself actually organised, and I'm lined up with another vlog which is coming up very soon, and it's going to be a Q&A session because of 2 things. Number one, I get lots of questions coming in on my Instagram and Facebook pages and also by email directly. And it's usually questions about the crochet and, technical ones or help questions or all sorts of things. So I thought rather, as I spend most of my breakfast time every morning replying to emails that have come in overnight, I was thinking that maybe I should be answering them on a vlog so that everybody gets to hear the question and the answer. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I know I've got questions about the crochet. I've got questions about the yarn that I use and general questions about me, about where we live, about my embroidery, which I'm going to come to in a minute, and my crochet patterns in general. So if you have any questions that you would like to hear answered, then please pop them into the comments on here and I will add them into my next vlog with the Q&A. In fact, it might run to more than one vlog because I know that there are quite a lot of questions and I'm looking forward to answering them because I know that everybody has an element of nosiness about them, I think. And I know that the people I follow on YouTube, when I see that they've done a Q&A session, I'm really interested to see what the answers they're giving to the questions. So that's my next vlog and possibly the one after. But since I finished this blanket, I haven't been idle. I decided I needed a little break from crochet because that had been 2 blankets back to back, and the Sweet Shop blanket had been such a tricky one to put together because of the time factor and illness and all sorts of things. So I did decide I would like to have a break, but by having a break means that I do something else with my hands. I can't not do anything. So you may remember, if you've been here before, you may remember I did a vlog about my embroidery and the projects that I had been doing since the COVID lockdown, actually, where I've been trying to convert my blanket patterns into embroidery. And the reason I decided to do that was just for myself, completely for myself. But it was because some of my blankets are no longer in my possession. I had a big sale, a charity sale of my blankets a couple of years ago, and about 20, I think, roundabout, were sold. So I don't have them anymore. I've got photographs of them, but that's all. So I thought if I was to just make an embroidery of some of the blankets anyway, that I can frame it, and it's something to remind me of the crochet. So if you go back, I'll put a link in, but if you go back to the vlog from last year, I did talk about I think 4 or 5 of my embroidered pieces that were based on blankets. And I thought now I would just try another one. And the one that I had in mind was the bonfire blanket because of its lovely bright colours. Now I'm going to do a separate vlog about it because I know that there are a lot of people who are quite interested in my embroidery. It's canvas work, or needlepoint if you like. That's my main passion as far as embroidery is concerned. I don't think I've ever really diverted my attention from canvas work since I first learnt it as a student back in the 70s. And it's gone through various forms of whether it's been fashionable or not. And I know there's a big following, probably more so in America, of needlepoint. But it's something that I just live and breathe. I just love it. So quick glance at what I'm doing, but as I say, I'll do a proper vlog about it soon. So this is what's happening with my bonfire embroidery at the moment. So it's just replicating the blanket. It's about a quarter size, I think, of the actual, this is a granny square in embroidery, but it's an inch square, this little square here, whereas I think it's about 4 inches, am I right? 3¾ inches for the similar granny square in crochet. So it works out, this is going to be about 18 inches square when it's finished, and I'll frame it. I think what I'm planning to do is, in my next vlog with the Q&A, rather than you having to look at me while I'm talking, I might be stitching. I'm not sure, because I don't know whether I can talk and stitch without making a mistake. We'll see. But this is the bonfire blanket embroidery so far. So I'm really, really enjoying that. And I've got plans for one to follow on from that. But I've also got in my mind, in the back of my mind, it's time to get back to some crochet as well. And round about this time every year is when I start to think about my Christmas blanket for the particular year. So I don't actually have, and this is unusual, I don't have any major ideas in my mind yet for this Christmas blanket, apart from the fact that I think I'm going to go back to fairly traditional Christmas colours, because last year was the sugar plum blanket, which was all purples and plummy colours, and the year before that was the very bright Christmas baubles blanket, which was really bright, and I think the year before that was that the Touch of Frost, which was very icy and silvery. And then before that was the Noel 9 patch, which was quite retro and duck egg and soft greens. So I think I will go back to more Christmassy colours for this one, but that could change. And as I say, I don't have a kind of running idea that I couldn't even talk about yet. But that's going to be my next crochet project. So as I'm working on this, I can be thinking about the crochet, which is good. I was going to say one more thing. I haven't heard yet my son's timing for the run for the marathon, but if I hear from him, I will add it into the end of this vlog just to let you know how well he did. He is a bit of a runner. He does run. But he has never run 26 miles before. I think 22 or 23 has been the furthest. And he hasn't got the best knees in the world. I think he's inherited his mother's knees, although they're on 6 foot tall legs, so, or at least he's 6 foot tall, not 5'2". But I'm sure he'll have done very well, and we'll soon hear how he's got on. So I'm going to leave you at that for today, and I'll be back very soon with my Q&A once I get all the questions written out. And if you want to ask a question, please do add it into the comments to this one, and I'll do my best to include it. So crochet, embroidery, Scotland, me, studio, yarn, embroidery threads, anything at all that you want to ask, please do, and I think it's going to be quite good fun. So I'll see you then, and I'll leave you with some pictures of the summer season blanket, and yeah, that's it for today. Bye. Here's a smiling Nick before the race with his twin babies, and afterwards with a very welcome pint of lager. He ran a very respectable 3 hours 50 minutes in all weathers, including 40-mile-an-hour headwinds and also some pretty horrendous hailstorms. But he made it, and I think he enjoyed it. He's resting today and hopefully his knees will survive.